Imagine for a moment that everything you believe about yourself, success, failure, happiness, time, and even reality itself is not partially complete. Throughout history, humanity has repeatedly discovered that many of its strongest beliefs were wrong. People once believed that the earth was the center of the universe. They believed diseases were caused by bad air. They believed heavier objects fell faster than lighter ones. They believed intelligence was fixed and could not change. Each generation tends to think it has finally figured everything out, yet every generation eventually discovers that reality is far more fascinating and complex than it first appeared. So, this video is about the 15 facts that have the power to fundamentally change how you think. These are not random trivia facts, they are powerful insights drawn from the psychology, neuroscience, history, philosophy, and the science. They challenge assumptions that many people unknowingly carry throughout their life. Some facts will help you understand yourself better. Some will change how you view the success. Some will help you understand other people. Some may completely transform your perspective on what is possible. One of the greatest advantages any person can develop is the willingness to question the assumptions. When we stop assuming we know everything, we start learning. When we start learning, we start growing, and growth changes everything. Think about some of the greatest innovators in the history. Albert Einstein questioned accepted views of space and time. Marie Curie challenged assumptions about the matter and energy. Charles Darwin transformed humanity's understanding of life itself. Their discoveries did not simply provide the new information, they changed how people thought. That is the power of perspective. Many people spend years trying to improve their circumstances. Few realize that improving their thinking often improves everything else. The way you interpret events influences your emotions. Your emotions influence your decisions. Your decisions influences your actions, and your actions create your future. A new way of thinking can therefore become the starting point for an entirely different life. As we explore these 15 facts, keep an open mind. You do not need to agree with every conclusion. Instead, allow yourself to consider new possibilities, ask questions, challenge the assumptions, reflect deeply. The goal is not merely to learn facts, the goal is transformation. Because sometimes a single idea can change the direction of a person's life forever. And perhaps one of these 15 facts will become that idea for you. Most people assume they see reality exactly as it exists. Science suggests something remarkable. What you experience is not the reality itself, it is your brain's interpretation of reality. Consider the color. The color red does not actually exist outside your mind. Objects reflect certain wavelengths of the light. Your eyes detect those wavelengths. Your brain translates them into the experience called red. The same principle applies to the sound. Sound is simply a vibration. Your brain converts vibrations into music, speech, and noise. This means that what we call reality is actually a highly sophisticated interpretation generated by the brain. This insight helps explain why people often disagree so strongly. Two people can witness the same event. One sees opportunity, the other sees danger. Or one sees criticism, the other sees useful feedback. One sees failure, the other sees learning. The event remains the same, the interpretation changes. Psychologists have spent decades studying cognitive biases. These are mental shortcuts that influences how we perceive the information. Confirmation bias causes us to notice information that supports our beliefs. Negativity bias causes us to focus more strongly on the threats than opportunities. Availability bias causes us to overestimate events we hear about frequently. These biases affect everyone. Understanding them creates a powerful advantages. Instead of automatically trusting every thought, we learn to examine our thinking. Imagine two job candidates rejected from the same position. The first person thinks, I'm not good enough. The second person thinks this opportunity was not the right fit. I will improve and try again. The event is identical. The interpretations are different. The long term outcomes often become dramatically different as well. Great leaders understand this principle. They know perception influences performance. They know beliefs influences behavior. They know mindset influences results. This doesn't mean reality is entirely subjective. Facts still matter. Evidences still matters. Truth still matters. But our experience of reality is heavily shaped by the interpretation. This understanding encourages humility. It reminds us that our perspective may not be completed. It encourages empathy because other people may genuinely experience the situations differently. It encourages curiosity because there may be information we have not yet considered. The next time you face a challenge, pause and ask yourself, what story am I telling myself about this situation? That question alone can change your life because often the greatest obstacle is not the reality itself, it is the interpretation of reality that we create. For much of human history, people believed intelligence was fixed. They believed individuals were born with certain abilities and those abilities remained largely unchanged. Modern neuroscience revealed something extraordinary. The brain is constantly changing. Scientists call this neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity refers to the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout the life. Every time you learn something new, your brain changes. Every time you practice a skill, neural pathways become stronger. Every time you repeat a habit, those pathways become more efficient. Imagine a forest. The first time someone walks through dense vegetation, the path is difficult. The second time becomes easier. After hundreds of journeys, a clear trail emerges. Neural pathways work similarly. Repeated thoughts create stronger mental pathways. Repeated behaviors become easier. Repeated actions eventually become habits. This fact changes how we think about the personal growth. If the brain can change, then improvement is possible. People can learn new languages later in the life. They can develop new skills. They can overcome limiting habits, they can build confidence, they can become more resilient. The brain remains adaptable throughout the life. This doesn't mean change is easy. Old habits often represent deeply established neural pathways. Creating new pathways requires repetition and patience, but it is possible. Consider professional musicians. Brain scans reveal structural differences in areas associated with the musical skill. Taxi drivers navigate complex cities, often develop enlarged regions related to spatial memory. Athletes strengthen neural networks associated with coordination and movement. Their brains literally adapt to their experiences. What makes this especially exciting is that the same principle applies to the everyday life. Want to become more optimistic? Practice gratitude regularly. Want to become a better communicator? Practice communication consistently. Want to become more knowledgeable? Read daily. Small actions repeated consistently reshape the brain. Many people underestimate the power of consistency because results are not immediately visible. But invisible changes often occur long before visible results appear. Just as exercise gradually strengthens the muscles, learning gradually strengthens neural pathways. This fact should inspire the hope. Your current abilities do not fully determine your future abilities. Your current habits do not permanently define you. Your brain remains a dynamic, adaptable system capable of the growth. The question is not whether change is possible. The question is what direction you are choosing to change. Fear is one of humanity's oldest survival mechanisms. For our ancestors, fear was essential. Fear helped people avoid predators. Fear helped people recognize danger. Fear increased survival. The problem is that the modern fears are often different from ancient threats. Today, many fears involve situations such as public speaking, rejection, failure, criticism, uncertainty, change. The human brain often treats these situations as if they are life threatening dangers. Research repeatedly shows that many worries never materialize. People imagine worst case scenarios, most never occur. Think about a time when you worried intensely about an upcoming event, perhaps an interview, an examination, a presentation, a difficult conversation. How many imagined disasters actually happen? Usually, very few. Fear tends to magnify uncertainty. It creates vivid mental images of failure, yet reality is often much less dramatic. This doesn't mean danger never exists. Some risks are real. Preparation remains important. The lesson is that fear frequently exaggerates the probability. One reason courage is so powerful is because action provides evidences. When people repeatedly face challenges, they discover something surprising. They are often stronger than they thought. Many successful people were once afraid. Entrepreneurs feared failure. Authors feared rejection. Scientists feared criticism. Leaders feared mistakes. Yet progress occurred because they acted despite fear. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is movement despite fear. One of the most effective ways to reduce anxiety is gradual exposure. Take small steps, gain experience, build confidence. Each successful experience provides evidence that challenges catastrophic thinking. Fear shrinks when knowledge grows. Fear shrinks when experience grows. Fear shrinks when confidence grows. Imagine if every major achievement in the history had been abandoned because someone felt afraid. Innovation would stop, discovery would stop, progress would stop. Fortunately, humanity advances because people continue moving forward despite uncertainty. The next time fear appears, always remember fear is often a prediction. Predictions are not always accurate. Reality deserves a chance to speak for itself. One of the biggest myths in the society is that successful people rarely fail. History tells a very different story. Success is often built upon a foundation of repeated failures. Consider inventors. Many inventions emerged only after hundreds or thousands of unsuccessful attempts. Scientists performed experiments expecting many failures before discovering useful results. Entrepreneurs launched businesses that sometimes failed before eventually succeeding. Athletes lose competitions before becoming champions. Failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is frequently a part of success. Why? Because failure provides information. Each unsuccessful attempt reveals what does not work. Each setback creates an opportunity to learn. Each mistake contains valuable feedback. Imagine learning to ride a bicycle. Falling is common, yet no one interprets falling as a proof that riding is impossible. Instead, falling becomes part of learning. Life often works similarly. Unfortunately, many people stop too early. They interpret temporary setbacks as permanent limitations. They mistake one failure for final failure. History repeatedly rewards persistence. Thomas Edison famously conducted numerous experiments before achieving the success. J.K. Rowling faced multiple rejections before publications. Countless innovators experienced setbacks that later became stepping stones. Resilience often matters more than the talent. Talent creates potential. Persistence creates results. This principle applies to the careers, education, relationships, fitness, creativity, and personal development. Every expert was once a beginner. Every master was once inexperienced. Every achievement started with imperfect attempts. Failure becomes dangerous only when people stop learning from it. Successful individuals always ask, what can I learn? How can I improve? What should I try differently? These questions transform failure into the growth. Perhaps the most important lesson is your future is not determined by how many times you fall. It is determined by how many times you choose to rise again. The most successful people are often not those who avoid failure. They are those who refuses to let failure define them. Have you ever wondered why childhood summers seemed endless, while entire years now seems to pass in the blink of an eye? This is one of the most fascinating psychological experiences shared by nearly every human being. The clock does not speed up. Days remain 24 hours long. Years remain the same length. Yet our perception of time changes dramatically. Psychologists have studied this phenomenon for the decades. One major explanation involves is novelty. When we are children, nearly everything is new. New schools, new friends, new experiences, new discoveries, new places, new challenges. because the brain is encountering unfamiliar information. It pays close attention. It records more details. These details create rich memories. When we look back, those years appear longer because they contain so many memorable moments. As adults, life often becomes more predictable. We drive the same roads, follow similar routines, visit familiar places, repeat familiar tasks. The brain becomes efficient. Instead of recording every detail, it filters information. Fewer unique memories are being stored. When we look back, entire months can seem compressed into a blur. Think about a vacation. A week filled with exploration often feels longer than a month spent following routine. Why? Because novelty expands our perception of time. This fact contains an important life lesson. Many people believe they need more years to live a fulfilling life. Often, what they need is more meaningful experiences within those years. Learning a new skill, traveling somewhere unfamiliar, meeting new people, reading new ideas, exploring new hobbies, and trying new challenges. These experiences create memorable moments that enriches the life. Interestingly, this idea appears throughout the history. Many of the world's greatest explorers, scientists, and innovators remained deeply curious throughout their life. Curiosity continually exposed them to new experiences. New experiences created richer life. The lesson is simple but profound. If life feels like it is moving too quickly, perhaps the answer is not slowing down the clock. Perhaps the answer is creating more moments worth remembering. Because in many ways, the quality of life is not measured by how much time passes, it is measured by how deeply we experience the time we have. Every day offers opportunities for discovery. Every conversation can teach something new. Every challenge can reveal hidden strengths. The more we remain curious, the more alive the life feels. And perhaps that is one of the greatest secrets to living well. Not simply counting the years, but filling the years with experiences worth counting. Before, before books existed, before television existed, before the internet existed, there were stories. Stories are among humanity's oldest technologies. Long before written language, people gathered around the fires and shared experiences through storytelling. Through stories, knowledge survived, lessons survived, cultures survived, entire civilizations passed wisdom from one generation to another. This reveals something extraordinary about the human mind. Humans are naturally wired to understand the world through stories. Consider how easily the people remember movie plots compared to random statistics. Think about how quickly people recall childhood stories compared to textbook facts. Stories engage emotions. Emotions strengthen memory. This combination makes storytelling one of the most powerful communication tools ever discovered. Businesses uses stories, leaders use stories, teachers use stories, religions use stories, families use stories. Even our personal identities are often built through stories. When someone asks who you are, you rarely respond with the raw data. You tell a story, you describe experiences, you describe challenges, you describe achievements, you explain how you became the person you are today. Stories help us organize the reality. Yet, this fact also teaches an important lesson because the stories are powerful. They can influence people positively or negatively. A compelling story is not automatically true. Throughout history, misinformation has often spread through persuasive narratives. This is why critical thinking remains essential. Ask questions, examine evidences, separate emotional appeal from factual accuracy. At the same time, never underestimate the positive power of stories. Some stories inspire courage, some stories encourage resilience. Some stories unite communities. Some stories motivate innovation. Think about famous speeches that changed the nations, books that transformed generations, documentaries that inspired action, movements that changed the history. Behind many of them was a powerful narrative. Perhaps the greatest story you tell is the one you tell yourself, the story about your abilities, the story about your future, the story about your potential. If your internal story says failure defines you, your actions may reflect that belief. If your story says growth is possible, your behavior may reflect that as well. The stories we believe influences the life we create. That is why understanding storytelling is so important. Humans are not merely creatures of logic, we are creatures of meaning, and stories help create meaning. Many people spend years pursuing the next purchase, the next promotion, the next achievement, the next position, believing happiness waits on the other side. And when they finally obtain it, something surprising happens. The excitement fades. Psychologists call this phenomenon hedonic adaptation. Human beings adapt remarkably quickly to improvements in circumstances. A new car becomes normal, a larger home becomes familiar, a new phone becomes ordinary. The happiness boost often proves temporary. This doesn't mean positions are bad. Comfort matters, security matters, quality of life matters. The deeper lesson is that long term fulfillment often comes from progress rather than acquisition. Imagine learning a musical instrument, improving fitness, building a business, writing a book, mastering a skill. The satisfaction comes not only from the final result, it comes from the growth itself. Humans seem naturally motivated by the progress. We enjoy moving towards meaningful goals. We enjoy becoming better versions of ourselves. Research in positive psychology repeatedly finds that purpose and growth contributes significantly to life satisfaction. People often feel happiest when they are engaged in meaningful challenges, challenges that stretch their abilities, challenges that provide direction, challenges that create contribution. This is one reason retirement sometimes surprises people. Many assume unlimited leisure automatically produces happiness, yet individuals often report greater satisfaction when they continue learning, creating, contributing, and growing. Humans appear designed for the progress, not merely comfort. Think about some of your proudest moments. Many were probably difficult, many required efforts, many involved uncertainty, yet overcoming those challenges created deep satisfaction. The lesson is powerful. Do not postpone happiness until some future achievement. Learn to enjoy the journey, celebrate improvement, celebrate learning, celebrate the growth because progress is happening long before the goals are fully reached. And often the journey becomes more meaningful than the destination itself. Most people think of memory as a recording device, like a video camera capturing events exactly as they happened. Science tells a different story. Memory is closer to reconstruction than replay. Every time you remember something, your brain rebuilds the memory. During this rebuilding process, details can change. Information can be added, information can be lost, information can be influenced by later experiences. Researchers have demonstrated that false memories can be surprisingly easy to create. People sometimes remember events that never occurred, not because they are dishonest, because memory is not perfect. This fact surprises many people. After all, memories often feel vivid and convincing, yet confidence is not always a reliable indicator of accuracy. This realization has important implications. It teaches humility. It reminds us that our perspective may not contain every detail. It encourages us to verify information rather than rely solely on the recollection. In legal systems around the world, eyewitness testimony can be valuable, yet courts increasingly recognize that memory has limitations. Two witnesses may honestly remember the same event differently. Their differences do not necessarily indicate deception. They often reflect how human memory works. Interestingly, memory's imperfections may serve useful purposes. Rather than storing every detail, the brain focuses on meaning. It prioritizes information it considers important. This efficiency helps humans process enormous amounts of information. The lesson is not to distrust memory completely. The lesson is to understand its limitations. Write the things down, document important information, remain open to the correction, recognize that certainty is not always accuracy, and perhaps most importantly, be compassionate towards others because their memories may differ from yours for reasons that have nothing to do with the character. Understanding memory helps us become better learners, communicators, and decision makers. It teaches intellectual humility, and humility is often the beginning of wisdom. If someone watched only headlines, they might conclude that the world is becoming worse every year. News often highlights disasters, conflicts, crises, and the problems. These events matter, they deserve attention, but they do not always provide the full picture. One of the most remarkable facts in the human history is that many measures of human well-being have improved dramatically over the time. People today generally live longer than previous generations. Infant mortality has fallen significantly. Medical knowledge has expanded enormously. Access to education has increased. Technology has improved communications, transportation, and productivity. Extreme poverty has declined in many parts of the world. None of this means humanity has solved every problem. Far from it, challenges remain, conflict, disease, and inequality remains, environmental concerns remain, yet recognizing the progress is important. Why? Because progress demonstrates what humans are capable of achieving. History shows that people can solve the problems. History shows that innovation matters. History shows that cooperation matters. Consider medicine. Many diseases that once devastated populations are now treatable or preventable. Consider communication. Knowledge that once required months to travel can now move across the globe instantly. Consider education. Information once available only to elites can now reach billions. Humanity's story is not only a story of problems, it is also a story of solutions. This perspective encourages the gratitude. Gratitude doesn't mean ignoring the difficulties, it means recognizing achievements alongside challenges. It means appreciating opportunities previous generations never had. Perhaps most importantly, it inspires the hope. Hope is not blind optimism. Hope is the belief that improvement is possible, and history provides abundant evidences that improvement can happen. The world still needs innovators, scientists, teachers, builders, thinkers, leaders, creators, and problem solvers. The next generation of progress depends upon people willing to contribute. When we understand how far humanity has come, we gain confidence in how far humanity can still go. The future is not guaranteed, but history reminds us that positive change is possible, and that may be one of the most empowering facts of all. Many people believe that success is primarily a matter of willpower. If someone exercises regularly, they must have a strong discipline. If someone reads every day, they must possess extraordinary motivation. If someone consistently achieves goals, they must simply have more determination. While discipline certainly matters, modern psychology reveals a surprising truth. Environment often influences behavior more than the willpower. Think about a supermarket. Products placed at eye level sells more frequently. Why? Because people naturally notices them. The environment guides attention. The same principle operates throughout the life. Healthy food placed visibly on a kitchen counter is more likely to be eaten. Books placed nearby are more likely to be read. A phone placed beside a bed is more likely to create distraction. The environment silently shapes behavior. Many habits people attribute to character are actually influenced by the context. Consider two individuals trying to exercise. One lives beside a gym, keeps workout clothes ready, and exercises with the friends. The other must travel long distances, lacks support, and faces constant obstacles. Who is more likely to maintain the consistency? The environment matters. This insight can be incredibly empowering. Instead of relying entirely on the motivation, we can design surroundings that support desired behaviors. Want to read more? Keeps keep the books visible. Want to eat healthier? Prepare healthy options in advance. Want to reduce distractions? Remove temptations from immediate reach. These small environmental changes often produces surprisingly larger results. Businesses understand this principle. Schools understand this principle. Cities, architects understand this principle. Successful individuals often understand it too. They create systems that make positive behavior easier. One reason habits fail is because the people focus exclusively on the goals. Goals matter, but systems matter more. A goal tells you where you want to go. A system helps you get there consistently. Imagine trying to swim upstream every day using only the willpower. Now imagine changing the direction of the current, and that is what environmental design accomplishes. It reduces friction, it supports progress, it increases the probability of success. Perhaps the most important lesson is you do not need to fight yourself constantly. Instead, create conditions that help you become the person you want to be. Success is often less about heroic effort and more about intelligent design. Your surroundings influences your future more than you may realize. Design them wisely. Imagine living in a world where nearly all human knowledge could fit inside a single library. For much of history, that was reality. Knowledge grew slowly, communication was limited, information traveled at the speed of horses, ships, and handwritten letters. Today, the situation is dramatically different. Human knowledge is expanding at an unprecedented rate. Scientific discoveries occur daily. New technologies emerges constantly. Research papers are published by the thousands. Artificial intelligence accelerates innovation. Entire industries transform within years rather than centuries. This reality creates both opportunities and the challenges. The opportunity is obvious. Humanity possesses more knowledge than ever before. Access to information has become increasingly available. A person with an internet connection can learn the skills that previously required specialized institutions. The challenge is equally significant. Knowledge becomes outdated more quickly. Skills require continuous updating. Adaptability becomes essential. In previous generations, learning often occurred primarily during youth. People attended a school, entered careers, and applied similar knowledge for decades. Today, lifelong learning has become increasingly important. The most successful individuals are often not those who know the most, they are those who learn the fastest. They remain curious, they remain adaptable, they remain open to new information. Consider how rapidly technology has evolved. Many professions today did not exist 20 years ago. Future careers may involve technologies not yet invented. This uncertainty can feel intimidating, but it can also be exciting. Every major technological revolution created new opportunities. The printing press transformed communication, the industrial revolution transformed production, the digital revolution transformed information. Artificial intelligence may transform countless industries again. Throughout these changes, one skill remains timeless: the ability to learn. Curiosity becomes a competitive advantage. Adaptability becomes a survival skill. Open mindedness becomes increasingly valuable. The future belongs not merely to the experts, the future belongs to the learners. Individuals willing to question assumptions, individuals willing to update beliefs, individuals willing to embrace the growth. This fact offers a powerful reminder. Education does not end when school ends. Learning is a lifelong journey, and in a rapidly changing world, continuous learning may be one of the greatest investments a person can make. One of the most misunderstood ideas in the personal growth is the power of small improvements. Many people assume success requires dramatic transformation. They imagine overnight breakthroughs, instant results, massive changes. reality often works differently. The principle of compounding applies far beyond finance. Small improvements repeated consistently can create extraordinary outcomes. Imagine improving by just 1% each day. The daily change seems insignificant, almost invisible. Yet, over time, the cumulative effect becomes remarkable. Nature provides countless examples. A tree grows gradually, a river shapes rocks slowly, a language is learned one word at a time. Physical fitness develops through repeated training sessions. Mastery emerges through accumulation. The same principle applies to nearly every area of the life. Reading 10 pages per day becomes thousands of pages annually. Learning one new concept daily becomes hundreds of concepts yearly. Saving a small amount regularly creates substantial long-term results. Small actions matters because they are sustainable. Large efforts often produces exhaustion. Tiny habits produces consistency. Consistency produces momentum, and momentum produces transformation. Many successful individuals understand this principle intuitively. They focus less on dramatic achievements and more on the daily practices. Writers write, athletes train, scientists study, musicians practice, not occasionally, consistently. The challenge is that the progress is often invisible in the beginning. A person learning a language may notice little improvement after 1 week. A person exercising may notice limited changes after a few sessions. A person studying may feel progress is slow, yet beneath the surface, growth is occurring. Skills are developing, knowledge is accumulating, neural pathways are strengthening. Eventually, the results become visible. What appears to be sudden success is often the product of long term accumulation. This fact should encourage the patience. Not every meaningful improvement is immediately visible. Not every effort produces instant rewards, but consistent effort rarely goes to waste. The future is often built through small choices repeated daily. The question is not whether small actions matter, the question is whether those actions are moving you towards the future you want. Because today's habits become tomorrow's reality. Human history contains countless examples of people achieving what others believed was impossible. For centuries, experts declared certain goals unattainable. Then someone accomplished them, and suddenly the impossible became possible. Why does this happen? One reason is that many limitations begin in the mind. This doesn't mean physical reality can be ignored. Physics still exists, biology still exists, constraints still exist, but people often underestimate their capabilities long before reaching genuine limits. Expectations influences behavior. Behavior influences the outcomes. This creates a powerful feedback loop. Consider two individuals facing the same challenge. One believes improvement is possible, the other believes improvement is impossible. Who is more likely to practice? Who is more likely to persist? Who is more likely to learn from the setbacks? Beliefs influences action, action influences results. This cycle can become either empowering or limiting. History offers remarkable examples. Athletes break records once considered unreachable. Scientists solve problems previously believed unsolvable. Entrepreneurs build companies despite overwhelming skepticism. Explorers reach destinations others considered impossible. Many breakthroughs occur because someone refused to accept perceived limitations. The danger of limiting beliefs is not merely that they restrict the thinking, but it dramatically increases the probability of progress. Confidence itself is often misunderstood. Confidence is not believing you will never fail. Confidence is believing you can learn, adapt, and recover. That distinction changes everything. The most successful individuals are rarely fearless. They simply trust their ability to navigate uncertainty. This fact encourages a powerful question: what assumptions about my limitations might be wrong? The answer could unlock opportunities you never imagined, because often the greatest barriers are not external, they are invisible boundaries created by the belief, and many of those boundaries can be expanded. If someone asked you to name one habit capable of improving happiness, relationships, resilience, and overall well being, the answer might surprise you. The gratitude, at first glance, gratitude seems simple, almost too simple, yet decades of psychological research suggest it may be one of the most powerful mental practices available. Human beings naturally possess a negativity bias. This bias evolved for survival. As a result, the brain often pays more attention to the problems than the blessings. Gratitude changes that pattern. It redirects attention. Instead of focusing exclusively on scarcity, gratitude highlights abundance. Importantly, gratitude is not the denial. It doesn't not require pretending difficulties do not exist. Challenges remain real. Loss remains real. Pain remains real. Research suggests gratitude practices can improve the mood, strengthen relationships, reduces the stress, and increase life satisfaction. Why? Because attention influences the experience. What we repeatedly focus on becomes psychologically significant. Gratitude also strengthens the relationships. People appreciate being appreciated. Expressions of gratitude build the trust. They strengthen the connection. They encourage cooperation. Many successful teams and families thrive because gratitude becomes part of their culture. We benefit from discoveries made by the generations before us. Scientists expanded knowledge, teachers shared wisdom, engineers built infrastructure, farmers produced food, healthcare professionals improved the life. Millions of individuals contributed to the world we inhabit today. Recognizing these contributions creates perspective. Perspective creates appreciation, and appreciation often creates happiness. A grateful person still faces the challenges, but gratitude provides strength during those challenges. It reminds us of resources, it reminds us of support, it reminds us of possibilities. In many ways, gratitude transforms ordinary moments into meaningful ones. And when practiced consistently, it can transform the way we experience life itself. Look at your hands for a moment. Every atom within them has a story older than humanity, older than Earth, older than the sun itself. This is one of the most astonishing facts science has ever revealed. You are literally made of stardust. Billions of years ago, before our solar system existed, enormous stars burned throughout the universe. Inside these stars, extreme temperatures and pressures created heavier elements. Hydrogen became helium, helium became carbon, carbon became oxygen. Over immense periods of time, those elements became part of giant clouds of gas and dust. And the atoms created inside ancient stars became part of plants, animals, oceans, mountains, and ultimately the human beings. The calcium in your bones, oxygen you breathe, iron in your blood, the carbon in your cell, all originated from the stars. This realization changes perspective. People often feel disconnected. Astronomer Carl Sagan famously expressed this idea beautifully when he described humanity as a way for the universe to know itself. You are part of it. Every human shares this cosmic origin, regardless of nationality, language, culture, or background. We all emerged from the same universe. Against overwhelming odds, matter organized itself into the life. Life developed awareness. Awareness became capable of asking questions about its own origins. And now you are here, contemplating the story of existence itself. Perhaps one of the most beautiful lessons from this fact is the gratitude. Gratitude for existence, gratitude for life, gratitude for the opportunity to learn, grow, love, create, and contribute. Because every human life represents a remarkable chapter in a story that began among the stars billions of years ago. The 15 facts explored in this video are supported by substantial evidences, yet science remains a living process. How much of who are comes from genetics? How much comes from environment? Scientists continue exploring this question. Evidences suggest both play important roles. Genes influences potential, experiences influences development. Another fascinating debate concerns free will. Philosophers and scientists have debated this issue for centuries. No universal consensus exists, yet the discussion continues to deepen our understanding of human behavior. Intelligence remains another area of debate. What exactly is the intelligence? Can it be accurately measured? Is intelligence primarily fixed or highly adaptable? Research continues revealing new complexities. Creativity, emotional intelligence, problem solving ability, social understanding, and analytical thinking may all represent important dimensions of human capabilities. Why do humans possess awareness? Why does consciousness exist at all? Despite incredible advances in neuroscience, definitive answers remain elusive. Research suggests both factors matter, but the precise balance remains an active area of study. These controversies teaches an important lesson. Uncertainty is not the weakness. Uncertainty often signals exploration. Questions drive discovery. Debates drive learning. Challenges drive the progress. Healthy skepticism helps science improve. Open mindedness helps ideas evolve. Curiosity helps humanity move forward. The goal is not to eliminate every question, the goal is to pursue better understanding, and that pursuit continues every day. Whenever powerful ideas emerge, critics appear. This is not a problem. In fact, it is often beneficial. Some people criticize changing scientific conclusions. They ask, if science changes, how can we trust it? The answer is surprisingly simple. Science changes because it learns. New evidences improves understanding. This willingness to update conclusions is one of science's greatest strengths. Similarly, the scientific progress depends on correction and refinement. Other critics argue that psychology and behavioral science cannot explain every aspect of human life. Likewise, scientific models helps us understand reality even when they remain incomplete. Some critics fear that focusing on the growth mindset, gratitude, or optimism ignores genuine problems. Humanity solved countless problems once considered impossible. Diseases were reduced, technologies were invented, knowledge expanded, living standards improved. Progress occurred because people believed solutions could be found. Perhaps the most important responses to the critics is questioning ideas is healthy. Blind acceptance is not the goal. Critical thinking remains essential. Examine the evidences, consider alternative perspectives, stay curious, remain open to the learning. The strongest beliefs are not those protected from the questions. They are those strengthened by the questions. This mindset encourages intellectual humility. We may not possess every answer, but we can continue seeking better understanding. As we reflect on these 15 facts, certain themes begin to emerge. The first theme is growth. Human beings are remarkably adaptable. Brains change, skills develop, knowledge expands, potential grows. You are not limited solely by where you started. The second theme is curiosity. Nearly every major breakthrough in history began with a question: what if, why, and how. Curiosity transforms ordinary people into explorers, not necessarily explorers of distant lands, explorers of ideas, explorers of possibilities, explorers of solutions. The third theme is perspective. Reality often appears different when viewed through a wider lens. Failure is not the final, fear is not the destiny. Limitations are often more flexible than they first appear. Human beings possess an extraordinary capacity to adapt, recover, and grow stronger. The fifth theme is gratitude. The modern world contains challenges, but it also contains opportunities. Previous generations could scarcely imagine access to the information, advances in medicine, global communication, educational resources, scientific understanding. Recognizing these blessings does not eliminate the problems, it balances the perspective. The sixth theme is responsibility. Knowledge creates opportunity, but opportunity requires action. Every fact explored in this video becomes valuable only when translated into behavior. Knowledge alone changes little. Applied knowledge changes the life. Finally, these facts remind us that progress remains possible. Personal progress, professional progress, societal progress, human progress. The future is not predetermined, it is shaped by the choices. And every choice begins with the thought. Change the way you think. You often change the way you act. Change the way you act. You often change the direction of your life. That possibility should inspire the hope. We began this journey with a simple idea, a single fact that and change how a person thinks. Now imagine the combined power of 15 transformative insights. What if you truly accepted that your brain can change? What if you viewed failure as feedback rather than defeat? What if you believed growth remained possible throughout your life? These ideas are not merely interesting concepts, they are practical tools. Tools that influences the decisions, tools that influences relationships, tools that influence careers, tools that influence futures. History is filled with individuals whose life changed because they encountered a new perspective. Sometimes transformation begins with a book, sometimes with a conversation, sometimes with a question, and sometimes with a fact. The world does not change only through technology, it changes through thinking. Every innovation begins as an idea, every movement begins as a belief, every achievement begins as a possibility imagined before it becomes the reality. And your future remains unwritten. Challenges will continue, uncertainty will remain, questions will persist. Yet curiosity can guide you, learning can strengthen you, gratitude can sustain you, resilience can empower you. Perhaps the greatest lesson of all is quality of your life is influenced not only by what happens to you, it is influenced by how you interpret, understand, and respond to what happens. This is why thinking matters, because thoughts become actions, actions become habits, habits become character, character shapes the destiny. So, as this journey concludes, carry forward a simple invitation: stay curious, stay humble, stay grateful, keep learning, keep growing, and keep exploring. Because the most important fact that can change your thinking may be your future is not fixed, and the next great chapter of your story is still waiting to be written.